Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly inspiration call for Freedom Mastery, my members group for mindset and all things growth related. So right now, what I'm doing, I'm going to continue my series on my mentor's book, Shackled to Free. So thank you for joining me. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay and for giving your time to grow yourself and to develop in your life. Okay, so Robert starts every single chapter of this book, Shackled to Free, Getting Gooder and Gooder. Robert Hollis is the author and Laurie Munson. And he starts every chapter with a verse. And this chapter 10 is called Destroy Your Limiting Beliefs. And the verse is 2 Timothy 1. And it says, "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline." So listen, if you want the 60-second version of this call, this is it. It would be these three things. If you want three things to destroy your limiting beliefs that you can apply today, right now, and use right now. Number one would be power, and that would be the power within us all that the science of getting rich talks about. The Bible talks about it. I call it the power of God. Two is love, but unconditional love, where we're not expecting in return, true love of a friend. And then three is self-discipline. If we have the self-discipline to develop our own mental attitude to what we want it to be, to develop our life and our day from minute to minute to be exactly what we want it to be, guys, friends, our limiting beliefs are gone after that, because we start to see results, start to see success, and things start happening and developing and are growing in our life, right? Okay, so however, I'm going to keep going. If you want more than that, if you want more than just these three things, listen in, because I'm going to give you some really, really amazing value today that Robert Hollis shares in this book, in this specific chapter. Take some notes, and if you have some time, answer the questions at the end for reflection. The questions are really, really what helped grow me the most, was when I really sat down and took the time to answer the questions. Okay, so first of all, just, take an inventory. Do you feel stuck? And if you do, where? Oftentimes we'll feel stuck, but we just don't know where. We're like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just not doing something right, or maybe there's something wrong, or maybe I should need to switch something around. Like you feel like energy is off or something. For some of you, you just feel like I'm just not in the will of God. Something is just off. I know, there are times where I look in my life and realize, oh, I'm in my own will. I'm not even in the higher will of God at this moment. I'm in my own will. And a lot of times that is when we feel doubt, fears, frustration, right? That's what limiting beliefs are. They're simply doubts and fears that have basically taken over huge parts, and sometimes for many years. So, I had to face that too, and Robert as well talks about this. We all do, right? Everybody's had a first date, right? Everybody's had that kind of feeling of going on a first date, or preparing for a first date, preparing to meet somebody for the first time, pick them up, that first date where you pick them up and you're like, this is it, we're doing it. Do we like each other? That feeling, that question, that unknowing, that period of time where you don't know, right? But for many of us, we have gotten married, and maybe we've done it a few times, maybe a lot of married families. So, Robert really, really talks about that's just proof right there that we are connected, and that we are following the path for us, and that we're finding the beauty and harmony in our relationships, and in what we're doing and what we want, right? If you wanted to go on a first date but felt nervous, and now you're married with a family, it's so beautiful to see that you got through that season of life, and you went through that, and you're not there anymore. Thank God, for those of you that are married. It's beautiful not to feel like I'm kind of shopping. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to really get into some things. The beautiful thing, I wrote something down in my notes, and it said, what are the last 5 letters of attraction? What are the last 5 letters of attraction? Okay. And then let's get started. So the first step, okay, so I'm going to give you steps. These are basically steps to destroy your limiting beliefs. So just imagine these are your limiting beliefs, and you're just going to be stepping and every step we take, because every step is sometimes little, sometimes it's a tiny little step, and we don't even notice we're stepping, right? But know that your limiting beliefs are here. You take is going to push those beliefs down, down, down until pretty soon they're gone, right? They can disappear. I want you to know that. I'm sure you realize, speaking of dating and marrying, they do go away. So the first step, though, for that to begin happening, for your limiting beliefs to be destroyed, is to know in detail what you want. We must know specifically. And I know we go over this. We've been going over this in this book, covering this book, in this group. If you're in Freedom Mastery or Journey to Freedom, that's what it's about. It's about knowing and then forward, right? Okay, so number 2, journal. I had been mentioning in my review of this book, Shackled to Free, I've been mentioning every time Robert mentions a journal or writing, you should have a journal by now if you've been following this book review and this study. If you don't, get one, or just get out a piece of paper and begin writing. Robert specifically makes it very clear here that successful people journal and unsuccessful people don't, that there's a clear difference. So you take an inventory of what you do. Do you journal or not? And do you feel successful or not? And it's a really simple step, that we can use to begin moving forward, because it's something easy that all you need is a pen and a paper. Free, doesn't cost anything, and we can do it right now. Like literally, I just get a pen, pencil whenever it's time to journal. I tend to journal after my prayer and meditation, because that's when things come to my mind to write down. So I would recommend, mornings maybe, or anytime you're feeling stuck. Anytime you feel like you're struggling and you have limiting beliefs, sit down and write what those are, because at least if you get out what you don't want, then it's real easy to see what the opposite of that is, what we do want, right? Okay, so make sure you're preparing to journal and begin to journal. God rewards us for acting. Another analogy Robert mentions is that Moses wrote God's vision on tablets. It was written. So number 3 is write your vision. Write your vision. Write down exactly what you want. And that might change each day. That might change from week to week if you think of, small-term visions. But what you want to do is write your short-term visions and then write long-term visions too. Really get down visually what you want in words, in writing. We can feel it more that way too. We connect with those things more that way too. And whatever those goals and dreams are. For me, at one point, it was a family. And now here I am. I'm just looking at my children sometimes, and it's crazy because I'll just be randomly crying and they're like, Mom, are you okay? I'm like, it's a happy cry. And I'm like in the moment, just enjoying the season that I'm in. So know that struggles are temporary. Limiting beliefs are temporary. I want to remind you of that again. Okay, number 4 is apply the laws of the science of getting rich. The way successful people do. Every successful person, every successful thing, endeavor, opportunity, has a certain way that it is done, especially creating income, that money of energy. There is a way to create that. And what the science of getting rich teaches you is how. It's basically simple principles that for me do correlate with biblical teachings and spiritual, mentorship I've had in the past on giving, on, simple things that never touched my soul the way it did when I read this book. So I'm here to share with you that you don't have to, know what's going on, know what this is to even start reading this book. If you need the book, let me know. Send me a private message and let me know you need it, and I will give you the link. Number 5, get rid of the limiting beliefs once and for all. Just write that down. That's what we're doing. We're just going to get rid of them once and for all. And we're going to do that by asking ourselves questions. When we get into that struggle, when we get into that moment or season of challenge, of frustrations, whatever it is you might be going through in your life. You know, for every family or for every person, it's different in different seasons. So what is that for you? But the great question to ask is this just a belief that seems to be limiting me? Is this a belief that seems to be limiting me when you feel like you're struggling? Ask yourself that. And see what you get, you know, see what answer comes back. And if you don't get an answer, keep expecting the answer to come. Okay. Number 6 is reward your every milestone, every single baby step along the way. Be rewarding yourself, because oftentimes, especially, I don't know, me as a mom, I find that I want to reward my kids and I want to reward other people in my life. And I don't give myself, or there have been times where I don't give myself enough. And then I find myself expecting from other people more than, so make it a habit to reward yourself. Make that one of your steps in destroying the limiting beliefs in your life. Number 7 is say out loud. Say it out loud what you want. Make it a habit of repeating it and speaking it out loud. There's a story in this chapter about Jim Rohn and how he had to get to a breaking point. Basically, he had to get to the point where enough was enough and he was just done with being done. And the day that came was when he lied out. And I thought this was just funny, because in my mind, I'm thinking, how many other people do this? I know there's been times where I did this in the years past. And he lied to a Girl Scout and basically said, no, he didn't have money for cookies, that he had already bought some, because he didn't just want to say he didn't have the money for them. So he had said he had already bought them, and felt really bad lying to this little Girl Scout. And after that, you know, that was his enough is enough moment. And that was that significant emotional event that caused him to say, this is it, I'm taking action and I'm moving forward. Something's changing for the better, right? Okay, number 8 is have a mentor. Have a mentor. And specifically, preferably, a real person that you can talk to, that you meet with face-to-face, just like this, one-on-one, at least once a week. Literally, like, how much more, you know, guidance, maybe you might need more than that even. And then eventually maybe you might need less. I don't know. There's been different periods of seasons for mentorship in my own life. So some examples of mentors that you can go look for right now without spending any money at all. You can just go to YouTube and go search for Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn, Earl Nightingale. These are all mentors that Robert Hollis has mentioned in his book. And otherwise, real people would be Robert Hollis, Melody Riba. These are real people that mentor in life success and specifically in creating income streams. When Melody found me, I was introduced to her. Melody, my amazing mentor. I was introduced to her by a friend, and I was struggling really bad in my life. I was probably in the deepest, darkest place I had ever been, and I was very scared. And a really great example of this step in destroying your limiting beliefs, because that day I chose to be accountable. I chose to be accountable to a real person other than my husband, my children, my family, my mom and dad. I chose to have a mentor. And that was literally one of the biggest transformations in my life. And I've been on many transformations, physically, spiritually, but I will really, really inspire you to have a mentor. Have a mentor. Number 9 is acknowledge where you are. Acknowledging where we are gives us then the opportunity and the permission, basically energy-wise, even God-wise, I believe, because I believe everything's divine. So where you are is a divine place, even though it might not feel like it. It doesn't always feel, right? Where we are. We can let our emotions, again, our limiting beliefs take over, but acknowledge where we are. And be okay. Be okay with that. Don't hate yourself. Don't hate where you are. Don't hate your situation, your life, your job, your whatever it is that you might feel, something with. I just acknowledge, make it a point and a goal to simply acknowledge it with no judgment, with no good or bad. Acknowledge where you are. Number 10 is to remember that thoughts are things. Thoughts are things, become things. Every single thing we see in this world once was a thought. Once was a thought, right? Have you ever heard of Prentice Mulford? Prentice Mulford is an author that my mentor Melody Riba introduced me to, and I love what he has written, and I have looked up his content before. Melody gives an amazing document called The Power of Words, Power in Words, and that has changed my life drastically. So if you don't already have The Power in Words, make sure you are looking at that every single morning in your morning ritual. If you don't already have a morning ritual, I would just ask why. It could be 5 minutes. You know, it doesn't have to be an hour-long process, something crazy. It could just be simple 5 minutes that you do when you wake up, such as breathing. Put something together, even just 5 minutes of something. So number 11 is have a temporary mindset versus a job mindset. And I know this is not going to make sense to some of you, but just hear me out. Listen. So when Robert started in MLM, he didn't know much about anything. He didn't know about marketing. He didn't know about people much. All he knew was that he needed money. He knew he was in a situation. He was in debt. He needed to pay some bills, and he was only making $900 a month, and he needed more money. And so what he did was he went in and said, what do I need to do to make money? And that's what he asked his mentor, basically. And so he kept it really simple and duplicatable, right? He didn't want to be the deal. He didn't want to learn a bunch of stuff first. He simply said, what do I need to do to make money? And his mentor was able to help him with that. Amazing testimony, by the way, like amazing. 10,000 in the first 45 days. So Robert Hollis is who I'm talking about. Okay, let's see, what's next? Number 12 is have a game plan. Okay. I'm a person of faith. I'm a believer. I do believe in miracles. I also believe, I ask a question at the beginning was, what are the last 5 letters of the word attraction? And that's where we come in here at number 12, our game plan. We're going to take action because attraction is simple. It's fairly easy. As long as we are putting in the action that needs to be done to create that attraction, right? If you're a believer, you know it's opening the Bible. It's reading the word. It's praying. There are action steps we can absolutely take to make sure that we are destroying what is in our life that is not true. And that's limiting beliefs, fear, frustrations, anything like that. Okay, number 13 is don't be half of anybody. Do your best. Don't compare yourself to the person next to you or my teammate or my upline or my sponsor or my mentor. Compare yourself to you yesterday, to who you were yesterday. And realize that you're not half of anyone or anything, and that the value that you have is not visible physically, right? It's not what's in our bank account. It's not what we're doing on Facebook, all our likes and our shares and that's not who we are. That's not our true value. Realize that you can achieve anything you have your heart and mind set to, and that anything that tries to come against that is limiting you is simply a belief that has been held for a while that is probably not true, and that can be shifted. Okay, so realize that you are whole, you are complete, and you are total. And with the power that is within you, you can create, do, and have and be anything at all that you want. So what Robert's mentor challenged him to put 70 people in front of his mentor's presentation within the first 30 days. And that's just if he was half of him. So Robert's like, I'm not half of anyone. I'm going the extra mile and all the way, right? So number 14 is know your success stories, because a lot of people, this is just from my own experience. Let me just inspire you to know other people's stories, to study, to memorize other people's stories, your mentor stories, success testimonies that are not your own. Because we can tell our own story every single day, all day long, but that is not duplicatable. So we must be inspired by other stories and testimonies and have that in our pocket to be able to share with others in any area, but specifically where you feel like you're struggling, like wherever that limiting belief is for you. For me, I know for a long time, for me, it was my finances. It absolutely was. I was totally addicted to spending credit cards than cash in the bank. Like that was a problem. And, you know, personally, I never have told that story. I mean, maybe a couple of times to a couple of people I don't, because it's not duplicatable. It's really not. The best thing I can do is introduce you to Robert and his success story and his system, because that is duplicatable. The way we do something is just as valuable as what we do. You know, how we overcome, how we succeed, how we destroy our limiting beliefs. It's important to know how we do it, because then we can share and help others. And I can tell you that Robert's success story is documented, and it's nothing that we need to question. The documentation is there, and that's the beauty of sharing other people's success stories, is that it's been documented. Robert has documented in the vision team, if you're not already in there. Lots of documentation there, but we're going to go back into number 15. Okay, let's finish this chapter. Number 15 is be motivated and be inspired to listen to others, to other people's stories over and over again. Again, I mentioned vision team. There's some stories in there. If you're in a company or an opportunity, if you're in our company in MDC, there are specific groups and pages that you can go to for testimonials, so that you can have something to share, so that you can help people that are struggling, that might need to destroy their limiting beliefs, and that are looking for tools and resources. Okay, know those stories and be motivated to really continue to listen in your life to other people. Okay, I promise you that that this does not depend on where you've come from, where you've been. Your success in destroying your limiting beliefs depends on simply following the steps I've given you here. These 15 simple things to do. Literally, it's that simple. Okay, so God loves you. I love you. And Robert always ends his chapters this way, and it's just so inspiring. I pray for your success daily. I really do. That all things are well for you. And since this is our recording today for the group, I am actually going to ask the questions here at the end. And the questions for reflection that you can take a look at. And a lot of times I don't answer these right away. I'll read it, and if I don't have an answer, I'll go to the next question, and then I'll answer that one. And then I'll come back to the first question if I didn't answer it right away. So 1, is there a place in your life that you currently feel stuck? 2, what limiting beliefs are keeping you stuck? What are you doing to get unstuck? I just gave you 15 things that you could choose from. Okay, number 3, where in your life do you need to take 100% personal responsibility for and say enough is enough? Enough is enough. You know, when I was making excuses to my children about how much things cost, like especially food, that was enough is enough for me. Like when we're at the grocery store and it's a decent item of food that my wants or my child wants that I want, money's not going to be an excuse that we're not purchasing that nutrition, if it's nutrition for our bodies, because that's important and valuable. And that was my enough is enough moment when it came to money. So the last question is, what is a significant emotional event you have had in your life? For Robert, it was parking his car up the street so the repo man wouldn't come and get it, so that he could take his kid to school the next day. Like that was his a huge significant event in his life that he said he would not allow again, that would not be repeated again. So you are whole and you are a breathing, living miracle. And I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye for now. Send me a message and we'll connect soon. Bye.